This video is brought to you by Squarespace. If you need a website or domain, check out squarespace.com. Hey everybody, and welcome to a new video. If you've ever traveled with your camera gear, you know how nerve-wracking it is to get on a plane. You're desperately fearing to hear the words, you'll have to check in your luggage. In this video, I'll share my packing strategy, my top airline packing tips, and tricks to avoid the dreaded check to luggage. If you stay for my bonus tip, I'll share with you the 2 magic words that will get you off even if you do get asked. My name is Simon D'Entremont and I'm a professional nature and wildlife photographer living in Eastern Canada. I make weekly videos giving you photo tips or taking you behind the scenes for nature photography. Subscribe if you want to see more. Now to start off, I don't really enjoy traveling around the world for work. It's long lines and nervousness about whether or not me or my gear will arrive on time and without something broken. But I'm privileged that I get to travel to exotic locations and photograph amazing wildlife there, so I don't want this to come across as I'm whining. I'm lucky to have this problem. Now what's the problem? It's the dread that when you're in line to board your plane, you'll get asked to check in your photography gear. The risk of your gear getting stolen or broken goes up exponentially if you have to give it to someone else to put into the belly of the aircraft. And if you get past that hurdle, will the rest of your checked luggage arrive at your destination? So what can we do to avoid this happening? Well, some of what we can do happens right at the airport, but really it starts off with your packing strategy. How does one pack? There are 2 tests for what I pack into my checked luggage. First, I use the pretend your checked luggage shows up 2 days late strategy. That means that whatever I pack into my checked luggage, I can live without for a couple of days. Second, I use the keep your valuables with you strategy. So anything that's small enough to take with me and valuable comes with me. So what contents meet these 2 tests of critical for a successful photo trip and personal needs for 2 days, plus valuable and small? Those come with me and don't go into my checked luggage. For me, the stuff that has to come with me, that's all my expensive camera gear, medications, some personal care products like toothpaste and deodorant, small expensive items like memory cards, laptop and tablets, audio gear, external monitors, and GoPro. Maybe an extra pair of undies. For cold locations, include essential winter clothing like a hat and gloves. The rest goes into my checked luggage. That's all my clothing except what I'm wearing, tripods, lens hoods if they take up valuable space in your camera bag, extra footwear, non-critical and cheap extras you can buy at your destination like sunscreen and bug spray. I use a duffel bag for checked luggage. A large suitcase is okay for most, but note that hard shell cases aren't allowed on some small bush planes and commuter planes as they're impossible to stuff into the small doors to luggage areas and slide around in the belly of the plane, which the pilots don't like. If you're going to go on small commuter flights as part of your trip, I recommend duffel bags. That's the bag of choice. I use Eagle Creek bags, very good quality. Now to carry on. Many airlines allow you to bring 1 piece of luggage and a personal item on board. If you have a rather long and large list of camera gear like I do, you'll have a large camera bag and a personal item. What I do is put most of my camera gear in 1 bag. My favorite is the Gura Gear 30L Plus. I can fit a surprising amount of gear in it. My 600 f4, 70-200, and a 24-70, 2 bodies, SSDs, memory cards for storage, a teleconverter, and a portable battery pack. How big of a bag can you bring on the plane? Up to 40 liters, you're fine. Some planes can handle 50 liters, but for some smaller planes, 40 liters is as big as you want. I also use neoprene bags by Lenscoat to put my camera bodies in. They take less room than dividers. Don't forget to flip your back LCD backwards for packing. Now I get emails all the time. I have 15 kilograms of gear and the airline says there's a 7 or 10 kilogram limit to carry on luggage. What should I do? So that's like 15 to 22 pound limit. Now my full camera bag weighs more than the maximum weight limit on many airlines. So how do I get it on? Well, the trick is that most airlines are much more worried about the size than the weight. All have maximum sizes to what they will allow on, and may even ask you to prove your bag fits in some kind of sizing device. By the way, 90% of people I see having problems with the sizing mechanism are the ones that use those suitcases with 4 external wheels sticking out. If you want wheels, get the 2-wheeled versions with internally set wheels like this one. So the trick is to stay within the size limit, not the weight limit. I've never yet had my luggage weighed on a major airline, but I have had them weighed on small flights between camps in Africa. I buy an extra 10 kilograms per person on top of the usual 15 kilogram limit. If you're traveling with friends there, buy the extra capacity in what's sometimes called a child seat, which adds 50 or 75 kilograms, and split it between the group. So the trick is to bring a camera bag under the maximum size limit. For many airlines, this is around 22 by 14 inches, that's 56 by 36 centimeters, and maybe 10 inches deep, 25 centimeters. Now, what you don't want at this point is to look heavy. If you can hardly drag your bag along, you're going to give yourself away. What I do is use a camera bag that I wear on my back as a backpack. It makes it look and feel smaller. I've had several times where people were asked to check in their carry-on luggage when they were pulling it along like a trolley, and I was passed over. Now, don't do this if you can hardly walk with the weight though. Don't forget that you can carry as much weight as you want on your person. So a dedicated camera vest where you can put teleconverters, extra lenses, and batteries can help you get more weight on the plane too. For my personal item, I use a small size backpack, like these. Most airlines have a limit of around 16 or 17 inches or 43 centimeters in length. In there I put any camera gear that won't fit into my camera bag, maybe an extra wide angle lens. My audio gear like microphones, basic personal necessities, meds, my laptop or tablet, chargers and adapters, electronics, and something to drink. Remember, I've packed so that I can be okay for 2 days without my checked luggage. I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. If you haven't heard of them, they're an all-in-one website platform that helps you create your website from scratch, just like I did. You don't need any coding experience or even to be tech savvy. They have lots of templates to choose from to make it easy to get your own website up and running in no time. Now, even though they have great templates like ones for photography, for example, the place to go now is to use their new design intelligence feature, using both Squarespace's experience and cutting-edge AI, helping you tailor your website to your own specific needs. It can even help you write text to describe your business or products. It looks really professional to have online galleries and your own domain, and a website is also a great way to monetize your work by setting up an online store using Squarespace payments, which you can set up with just a few clicks. You can even do buy now and pay later with options like Afterpay. Go to squarespace.com to sign up for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Simon for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. By the way, AirTags are great to put into your bag. I have one in each. It may not save you from having your luggage misplaced, but at least you know where it is. And if your checked-in luggage misses your flight, you'll know as soon as you land, and you can get the airline looking for it immediately without waiting in a long line. You can even tell them where it is. Okay, we figured out what goes where, and you're packed in a way to avoid suspicion that you're oversized or overweight. Now the big one. How to avoid getting your luggage checked in. The main problem here by far is that once the overhead bins are full or are getting full, the airline staff will make an announcement. That is, the overhead bins are full, all passengers must now check in their carry-on luggage. That is what you want to avoid. The trick here is to not board late. Planes are boarded by zones on most airlines, and these are printed on your boarding pass. Usually first class and business class as priority boarding, or zone 1 and zone 2. Then zones 3 or 4 might be premium economy. Then economy boards last as zone 5 or later. So this announcement of needing to check in bags usually comes at the end of boarding, once enough people have boarded to fill up the storage bins. So the critical thing is to not board late. So how do you avoid this? I have several strategies. One is to buy a class of ticket that boards early as part of being in that class. More expensive tickets usually board in earlier zones. One exception is that I was once on American Airlines that boarded first and business class first, then economy at the back of the plane, then premium economy, which I was flying in last. So check online to see how your airline boards. You can usually find that on their websites. Second is to buy a priority boarding upgrade. Southwest Airlines, for example, allows you to buy upgraded boarding. So for $100, you board earlier than the rest of your ticket class. Now, if you have $15,000 worth of gear in your bag, that might be a wise thing to do. By the way, check me out on social media, as I almost always include a tip with every post, and I'll include a link below if you want to be on my heads up list for an African wildlife photo safari someday. The third way of not boarding late is to be a member of your airline's loyalty program. Most airlines have a membership arrangement that you can accumulate points for flights, and these points, when they reach a certain level, unlock loyalty rewards. One of these is priority boarding. For many airlines, even if you fly in the cheapest seat on the plane, if you've reached the level needed to unlock it at a certain level, you'll have a boarding class higher than those who paid a similar fare. A fourth way of boarding earlier is to have a credit card issued by your airline. Many airlines do this, and you can collect rewards for loyalty programs using your card. But there's more. Many airlines will offer you priority boarding by purchasing your tickets using the card. So just get the card, use it for buying the tickets, and you'll board early. You don't need to use it otherwise. Just leave it in a drawer at home and pull it out for your next trip. And finally, a fifth way not to board late is to beg. By this I mean ask nicely. Now I'm fortunate now and I have loyalty rewards or buy plane tickets with early boarding, but early on I didn't. And there are times that more expensive classes of tickets aren't even available. I was once flying Zone 4 as the plane was all economy seats from Boston in the US to Halifax in Canada. Even before boarding, they announced that the flight was full and some people would need to check in their bags. What did I do? I went to the gate agent and said very nicely, I have $20,000 worth of camera gear in my bag and checking it in is a huge risk for me. Is there any way I can board a bit earlier to make sure I get ahead of the overheads being full? The agent replied, yes, I don't blame you. And they scratched out Zone 4 on my ticket and wrote down 2 and said, come up at the end of Group 2 boarding. I guess what I'm saying here is be nice and ask nicely. I think many times you'll be rewarded. So now we have some strategies to avoid checking in our bag. What do we do in the worst case scenario if we can't avoid it and you do get asked to check in your expensive camera bag? One option is to get a bag like this Mindshift backpack style of bag. It has an internal pocket in which you can put maybe 2 bodies and 2 lenses, and if you're forced to part with your bag, you can pull out the insert and bring that on the plane with you and send the rest of your bag and its contents to be checked in. Also, if you're actually on the plane with your camera bag and you can't find room for it, often asking one of the cabin stewards if they can find space for you will work. There's usually extra space available in business class, even on a full flight, and most of these folks are very reasonable and will try to help you. And I promised you a bonus tip, and that's that there are magic words when you're in a bind regarding checking in a camera bag. The magic words? Lithium batteries. That's because most airlines in the world prohibit sending batteries into the cargo hold of the plane due to the risk of fire that they pose. So if you're asked to check in your camera bag, the best response is, all of my photography and electronic gear is in there, and I have lots of lithium batteries. They're in my camera, and I have spares and batteries for my accessories too, like my backup battery pack and my headphones. The plan? Make it sound complicated to remove them all. What you're hoping at that point is that the hassle of making you take them out is more than the benefit of stopping you, and that they'll let you go. If you're curious what I bring on an African photo safari, I've made a whole video on that, which you can see right here. And if this video is deserving, please give it a like so YouTube will show it to even more photographers, helping them manage the stress of airline travel. I hope you can use these tips on your next trip so you can go out there with all of your gear intact and take your own unique and amazing photos. I know you can do it.